Staff members of the Downard Funeral Home and Crematory are caring and experienced professionals who understand that each family is unique and has personal requests and traditions. These requests and traditions are of utmost importance to our staff of licensed funeral directors. At least, that's what their website says. But recent events in Pocatello, Idaho, have law enforcement and the public doubting that claim. Pugnacious, disgusting, overwhelming, and horrible are all words that locals have used to describe the smell surrounding the funeral home over the summer. One Google reviewer said that the smell was so horrible at a service they attended that guests were overwhelmed and the service was ruined. Last week, an inspector discovered a badly decomposed body at the Downard Funeral Home, prompting a deeper investigation that resulted in the funeral home being shut down, multiple bodies being moved or taken by the state coroner's office, and responses of horror from local families that have used their services. There have not been any arrests in this case yet, but it is an ongoing investigation. Hey everybody, and welcome to True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters. This is Katie Weaver, and I'm here with my sister, a co-host and partner in crime, Christy Brower. Hello.
Hello. Hey everybody. Excited to be here.
Yeah.
Pugnacious. Yikes.
This is our trigger warning. This case is awful and very macabre. And if you are going to be triggered by dead bodies and funeral home goings-ons, you don't want to watch this or listen to this. So This is your warning. I know a lot of you true crimers, have pretty thick skins to this kind of stuff, but we don't want to give anyone nightmares. So here you go. Yeah. So this is our Tuesday case. This is our group case this week. And I want to thank Christy and Rhonda for filling in for me this last week while I was off taking a kid to college. You guys were rock stars and did it all. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. We had a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed our Bigfoot episode. We had a lot of fun making it. Rhonda is a hardcore fan.
Yes, she is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, as we were beginning the long trek home from Montana on Friday, some news started breaking that had everybody pretty compelled. It happened in Pocatello, Idaho. Pocatello is about an hour and a half from my house. Less. Depends how fast you drive. But anyway.
It does.
I lived there for a minute when I was in college. Christy, you lived there for a couple of years?
About a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, graduated from college there for sure.
Yeah. So there is an event that is kind of rocking Pocatello right now with horror, and it is the Downard Funeral Home situation. So I want to tell you a little bit about the Downard Funeral Home. It was built in 1931. So this is a very old building, almost 100 years.
It's in Old Town. It's in the part of the town where everything is old.
Everything is old. It was built by a guy named Byron B. Downard.
Well, I was assuming there was a Downard in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And he ran it for a lot of years, and then he sold it to another family, I believe the Hanson family, and they ran it until 1996. And in 1996, they sold their operation to a guy named Lance Peck and his wife. Mm-hmm. And Christy's cats are playing the piano, trying to get the timing just right for this.
Really just giving us the ominous setup for this that we need.
So Lance and his Wife Diane. Okay, they had been working for the Hansons since 1996. They purchased Downard Funeral Home in 2007. So it's been in under their care since then. So that's a little bit about the funeral home. This funeral home is kind of in a weird spot. And it was there first, obviously, before a lot of other things. But there is, it is directly across the street from Pocatello High School.
Yeah.
It's, and it's the narrowest street. Like every time I go to that part of Pocatello, I go, it's just so weird that this funeral home is like on the doorsteps of this high school. It's weird.
Yeah. It
And not
is
just a funeral
strange.
home, but a crematorium as well.
Yeah. It is a weird, it's weird placement for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it is a one-way road, and so it is very narrow. And yeah, I lived only a few blocks from there. Rhonda and I did
Yeah.
when we were in college down there
Mhm.
in Old Town. And yeah, it was kind of a strange thing to have it there. But I mean, it's
It is, and
part of
students,
life to have to deal with
yeah,
death.
it's true. Students for years have said that you could sit in class and look out there and see the smokestack going and know when
Yeah.
they were cremating a body, and that that was just kind of ominous. And it's an interesting thing because Pocatello High School is touted to be haunted as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
We've actually been on a ghost tour in Pocatello High School.
And there's been a lot of documented like ghost hunters and stuff like that that have gone to Pocatello High School because there's all kinds of activity there. So,
Yeah, there's footage even of
oh yeah.
some activity in that school. So, yeah,
Hmm.
it is kind of all this sort of creepy, ominous situation down there.
It really is. So, locals are saying that through this whole summer, it has smelled horrific down there in Old Town. And within a few blocks of that, or of the funeral home, people saying that their kids that were going to the high school all summer for like sports and stuff like that, that it was overwhelming. It smelled horrible. And
Mm,
one lady in comments on one of the articles said, I have literally been saying it smells like something died down here all summer. Yeah. Well, it,
yikes.
yes. So apparently on Wednesday, there was an inspection at Downard Funeral Home with the state licensing board, and they discovered a badly decomposing body inside, which this is an interesting thing. Lots of people in the comments of the articles I've read have said, it's a funeral home. Why are we all so upset that there's dead bodies inside? Well, because they're not cared for correctly. There are
Right,
very specific laws and rules about how bodies have to be handled, and they weren't being handled that way.
right.
So the inspector actually demanded the license of Peck on Wednesday. He actually relinquished his license on Wednesday. One family reported that they were supposed to have a funeral there on Saturday, and their loved one's body was already there at the funeral home, and they could not get the funeral home to answer the phone. So they got really
Ooh,
worried because, and went over there and nobody was there. And they got really worried because what the hell's going on? And they called the police because what else do you do? You know, what else do
right.
you
I
do?
cannot imagine being in that position
Yeah.
and like, holy hell, oh, yikes.
And surely the inspector had already called the police. But on Friday morning, law enforcement agencies from all over the state,
Oh, yeah.
we had quite a few different agencies and bureaus that all showed up there and descended on the place with a search warrant and announced to the public that this funeral home is closed until further notice, and started hauling out bodies in and putting them in a mass casualty refrigeration trailer that came here from the Ada County. That's the Boise area. That's the state capital, from their coroner's office.
Yeah.
So people get upset quick. Neighbors get upset quick because they're like, what in the actual hell is happening here? We knew
Right.
something was wrong. One couple told one of the news reporters at East Idaho News that there has been a literal bag of ashes sitting on the front counter in Downard for over a week that nobody has picked up or done anything with.
Yikes.
They also said that they have vats of chemicals that get delivered to their back parking lot every so often, and that a big delivery of chemicals had showed up over a week ago that no one had ever taken inside. And they
Oh
said
my
that's
goodness.
really weird. Usually they go right in the building with them.
Well, and dangerous. Like that's
Mhm.
probably stuff that nobody should be messing with, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
embalming fluid and stuff like that, I would imagine, formaldehyde
Mhm.
stuff. I don't know.
Lots of neighbors are saying that they have not seen the crematorium stack smoking in many weeks.
Oh,
So things are not good there. They
no.
clearly have maybe some refrigeration issues. Maybe the crematorium is broken or their oven is broken or something, but things aren't right. And they're still obviously accepting bodies. So all of these families start showing up over there, and the police have the whole thing cordoned off, and they're going, I have a loved one inside of there.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point in the day, can you imagine how this must feel? I can't even fathom how this
No,
must feel.
cannot.
So at some point during the day, other funeral homes start arriving. They've been dispatched to come and collect the bodies that they could identify.
Yeah, I read that part and I went, oh, yikes. That they could identify?
Mhm.
Oh, no.
So apparently, there were 4 bodies there that were to be processed and had services for, and those 4 families had already paid for their
Oh,
services.
no.
So another local funeral home, the Wilkes Funeral Home,
Mm-hmm.
announced today that they will be performing all of those services, including, whatever the families need, on them. So they
That
said we're
is
not.
very cool.
They said we're not going to traumatize these families any further. They've already paid someone. They're not paying us. So
Yeah.
thank goodness on that. But this investigation went on all day. It caused quite a scuttlebutt. It started a lot of talk amongst people online going, well, one girl who said, my brother died in Pocatello a year ago, and I have never received his ashes. I have called and left so many messages at that funeral home. They will not call me back, and I have no idea where my brother has gone.
Oh,
Another
no.
woman who said that her brother's ashes were supposed to be sent to Alaska and have never arrived, and similar story, not responding to phone calls, emails, nothing, just blowing people off.
Oh,
Another woman who said that her daughter-in-law's grandmother was supposed to be cremated there about 3 weeks ago, and they too have heard nothing, received nothing, and don't know what in the hell is going on.
this is becoming like a huge true crime case. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hence we're talking about it because I mean the laws around this stuff, I mean, there's no getting around them.
No.
These folks are in deep shit.
Yes.
However, where are these folks?
Yeah.
Any clue?
No,
Is
say
there
that
any
one more
word?
time.
Where are the Pecks?
There was talk in the beginning that the Pecks had left town, but I did see a neighbor say that they saw the police knock on their door, and someone opened the door and they spoke to them briefly a couple of days ago. They actually live like 2 blocks away.
Oh, wow.
Interestingly, also, neighbors are saying that they have been remodeling their house all summer long.
Instead of taking care of the bodies at their funeral home?
Apparently.
Oh, my goodness.
So, in the course of their investigation and serving the search warrant on Friday, not only were many bodies hauled out, but many urns were also hauled out. And what Pocatello police finally said at the end of the day was that they have found several dead bodies. They would not specify how many, and several fetuses in various forms of decomp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've speculated on the fetuses that it's possible that they were meant to cremate stillbirths, miscarries,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and have not done that. I really suspect their oven is broken or something's
Yep.
wrong that they cannot solve.
Something.
But,
Yeah.
those little bodies go somewhere. If people don't bury them, they can opt to have them cremated.
And
I
then receive
assume.
the ashes. So in
Yeah.
Idaho, any stillborn or stillbirth or miscarry over 20 weeks has to be processed by a funeral home.
Yeah.
And so,
So
yeah, so they
likely that was happening at Downard.
so they have had a deal with the local hospital to be processing those stillbirths or miscarries. Yeah. Now, people are now coming out of the woodworks with stories about stuff that's gone on with them in the last while, including a couple of people who said that they received ashes that did not look like human cremates. One person says it looks like they scooped some ashes out of the fireplace, charred wood, and sent to her. She said it looks nothing like the cremains that she's received from her other loved ones from this funeral home.
Oh,
So
no.
here's what's happening now. People are losing their minds. If they have
Right.
had anyone processed by this place in the processed, God, that sounds horrible. But,
Mhm.
serviced by this place, how do we say
Cared
this?
for, whatever, yeah.
In the last while, they are now scared to death. That maybe what ashes they did receive are not their loved one. Is
Right.
their loved one of the bodies that was just hauled out of that building? Why in the world were there? And they still, again, they have not released the number of bodies. We don't know. Or of
Mhm.
fetuses. Ooh, that one kills me. Uh, we don't know yet how many.
Yeah,
No charges have been filed as of yet, but as we know, these things take a little time.
they
And
do.
it's still very possible that charges are coming, but it'll take a little time for them to get their whole case together.
For
In
sure.
the meantime, lots of families reporting that they have not received the death certificate for their loved one.
Oh, no. That's a huge deal, as we know, having been through this.
Mm-hmm.
You
And
can't do anything on behalf of someone who's passed away without that.
no, and the funeral home helps to get that. That's a part of your deal with them, your package with them.
Right.
So the Pocatello police have been absolutely slammed with locals calling them, wanting to know either are missing a person, with
Mhm.
no ashes in tow, or have received weird ashes, or haven't gotten a death certificate, or have paid for a funeral. This is a big one. People that have done pre-planning have paid for funerals that,
Ooh, in advance, yes. Oh,
yeah,
no.
in advance. So now they're wondering what in the world they're supposed to do. So
Mhm.
the police department did set up a helpline for people to
Right.
call. Uh, it's actually, they're asking people to please come to a website. They quickly set up a website called reportacrime.pocatello.us, and you can go there and fill out the form, and then they will get to you. But they're literally saying, we are receiving hundreds of these, probably thousands. I mean, remember, this isn't a huge town, but they're people
No,
are
but there also aren't that many funeral homes, and so,
no.
I mean, they're doing a lot. They've done a lot of the work with people
Mhm.
who've crossed and also people who thought that they were being, loyal to a business that has helped their family members by
Yes.
pre-planning.
Hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
gosh.
Yep. So they said to be sure to provide the decedent's name, date of birth, date of passing, and any other information that you feel might be helpful to the investigation. They're also asking families to please get one spokesperson so that
Oh,
they
I'll bet.
don't have
Yes.
12 people writing to them about grandma. But they're overwhelmed with people. But why wouldn't they be?
Oh my
There were
gosh. I
services that were
cannot
supposed to
imagine.
happen over the weekend at this place.
I cannot imagine having been through, planning and arranging the funerals of our parents. I cannot imagine what this would feel like. because you're
Yeah.
already grieving, you're already not in a good place, dealing with something that you never want to have to deal with. And now this shit's going down. Oh,
Yeah.
these people are in big, big trouble.
Right. So there's a few possibilities, but actually, I wanted to share a little more about some of the things that we know. So the bodies that could be identified have been sent to other funeral homes who are attempting to locate next of kin. Bodies that could not be identified are being kept in a refrigerated trailer from the Ada coroner's office while they also try to figure out who they are. So these are things that we do know. A few other things that I thought were interesting, this coming from East Idaho News. They said that there is a pending criminal investigation. So that's,
I mean, there's got to be.
yeah, well, God,
Just
you would
the
sure hope
I mean,
so.
can you just the public health risk alone of what they've been doing, let alone the fraud and, the mishandling and everything, but the
Mhm.
public health risk.
Right, right. All of it.
Holy shit.
All of it. Just thinking about the poor neighbors. God, can you imagine living there? And
No,
knowing after you've
because
been smelling this all summer and being like,
let's see, are they on is that Arthur?
I think it's on Arthur.
It's
Yeah.
on Arthur. Okay, so Rhonda used to live on Arthur further down.
Hmm.
When we first got together, she lived on Arthur, and so the thing you have to understand is that this is like the edge of a commercial district,
Yeah.
and it moves from a commercial district into a residential area. And so only probably a block off from this funeral
Hmm.
home, it's all residential all the way
Right.
down that road, all the way, behind the high school, everywhere. It's homes.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, living there has got to be a little creepy right now. Probably a
Right.
lot creepy.
Can you imagine the high school trying to conduct business as usual with this going on literally across the
No.
street from you?
Well, I had read that when they blocked off like a whole block around Downard, and they also blocked off two of the parking lots to Idaho Falls High School, which, by the way, school
Pocatello,
just
yeah.
started, or Pocatello
Yeah.
High School, I mean, and school just started, but they wouldn't allow anyone to park in
Hmm.
two of the high school's parking lots because it was too close to the building.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys.
Yeah. And then also the first responders
Right? That had
that
to go find that?
clearly just went into a house of horrors. I can't even imagine for them as well what this must have felt like. So it kind of leads you to a few different places.
Mhm.
Refrigeration broken, AC maybe not working well, super hot summer, crematorium broken. With Had they just fallen in such a place of disarray and a place of
Of
bad
overwhelm?
overwhelm and poor mental wellness to the point that they just weren't dealing? Is that really all this is? Or is there something worse happening here?
Right,
That's everyone's worst fear right now, is that it's something worse. Were
right,
they body farming? Were they not sending the right ashes to people, but just throwing some ashes your way and it wasn't actually your loved one? That's what everybody's asking. People are
right,
horrified.
like, what is the
People are
cause of this?
wondering if they can send their ashes off for a DNA test to make sure this is actually their person.
Mhm.
I- That's the kinds of questions that are coming up for people right now, but also why? But
Yeah.
there's one more layer of this that we haven't talked about yet, and that is their relationship to Idaho State University.
Yes. Yeah, this
So,
has really got me thinking.
so it has been the case that Downard Funeral Home had a deal with Idaho State University to provide their cadavers for their science classes
Mhm.
and anat and
Well,
phys.
they have a PA school, so
Yes,
they've gotta have, for medical.
yeah. And apparently, at some point here in the last while, ISU had had enough of issues with Downard, and Downard quit showing up. They quit bringing in the bodies that they were supposed to, and so ISU ended their relationship with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and had made a report, apparently. Here's where it gets even worse. Apparently, this funeral home has had a whole bunch of citations in the last several years.
Yeah.
A whole bunch. And they just keep slapping Peck on the hand and letting him keep going
Yeah.
to down this road now, where there's
Mm-hmm.
absolute, horrific conditions happening.
Chaos.
Hmm. Now, you might be wondering, why didn't they have employees that were noticing this? Didn't they have people that were coming in? Well, mainly this has been family run.
Yeah.
Mom, dad, and one of their kids have been the main employees there. They've had a few volunteers that come and help with services. And some of those volunteers were there helping the police sort out the best they could what they were seeing in there.
Mhm. Well, I mean, were they keeping like very poor records that these bodies were unidentified? Like,
Right.
bodies are supposed to be I mean, that's like, you see the thing about like people with bodies with a toe tag in the morgue, but I mean, it's literally because bodies
Hmm.
have to be identified at every step that they go so that there's never a mix up and you lose whoever this is, So have
Yeah.
they been not keeping their records correctly, obviously, if they have bodies they can't identify?
Well, and why is it that people are unable to get their cremains?
Yes. Why is it that people are unable to get their cremains? This is really serious.
This is really awful. Really awful. So, this I think will haunt Pocatello for a long time. I People are really worried, and it makes me sick to think that mamas who were at Portneuf Hospital miscarrying or having stillbirths and trusting that the fetuses were being taken, or fetus of theirs was being taken to be cremated, and they should be receiving those cremains, have either not received them or they have, and maybe that wasn't it. Why were they collecting fetuses? Like, what the hell?
Yeah, what was that about? Is this really just about a crematorium that's broken and they can't cremate anybody? Or are they doing something else with these bodies? And that is just,
But there are other
oh,
crematoriums in town.
that's the thing. I mean, if they really were just broken down, they could have, but it would mean giving up business.
Hmm.
But they could have been shunting that business to someone else.
Hmm.
They could have also reached out to another funeral home and said, "We are in big trouble. We have
Hmm.
a huge problem. We need help. Number one priority is to take care of all of these loved ones in the most respectful way possible. Can you please help us? And we'll figure out how to pay you," or whatever,
Right, and they would have, because nobody
Yeah.
would have wanted this to happen.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
No one wants this.
So the big questions now are, why did this happen?
Yeah.
How did this happen? What all happened? And
Yeah.
then, of course, what happens now? There's a lot we don't know. We're just opening an investigation on this. We
Mhm.
tossed around the idea of, do we do this case or don't we?
Mhm.
And essentially we decided we do. It is local to us. We are a true crime channel. We know this is awful content. Scott has
Mhm.
forbidden me to discuss it in his presence. He doesn't want to hear anything about it because it's horrifying, and I get it.
Well, it
But
is. It's
I think
very
we have
upsetting.
to follow this one and
Yeah.
see where it goes.
Well, we do because it's something, this is something that affects everybody on the planet.
Yeah.
However you release your dead, whatever you do, we always want that to be a respectful process.
Yeah.
I mean, it should never be like this.
No. Now, there was a case, there was the Mesa Funeral Home in Arizona a couple of years ago
Oh,
that
yeah,
was seriously mishandling bodies and selling body parts.
that's
And
right.
it was a mother daughter team doing a whole bunch of horrifying things, and they are in prison.
Yeah.
There was another case in the South several years ago of a crematorium that was broken. And rather than, close, tell people, do the right thing. This father-son team, interesting, this is always family, keeping it right in the family, aren't they?
Well, I think that
They were
funeral homes
burying
generally
them.
are family.
Yeah, they were just burying stacks of bodies on their property out back. They had some acreage and they were burying bodies. And they also were busted because of the smell. Yeah.
Mm.
So it does happen. I hate saying that because we've all had a loved one that we've sent through a funeral home, you know,
Right.
but it does happen. Uh, Wilkes Funeral Home, who, has taken custody of some of the bodies and are performing the funerals now, for free because they are awesome like that. They said, we provide a comprehensive tour of our facility. Not everybody wants to see it all. We warn people you might not want to see it all. But he said, honestly, you can come into any part of our facility. It is not closed to the public. He said, and it has to be that way. He also said that they have a plate that when they bring in a body, they assign them a number, and they have a
Mhm.
plate that goes with that body wherever it
Mhm.
goes, up and through cremation, so
Mhm.
that they cannot lose a body or not know who is who or whatever this nonsense is. Yeah,
Right.
but he said there are systems in place to make sure that things like this never ever happen. What you would assume,
Exactly. What
but
you would expect anywhere, anybody who's working with people who've passed
yeah,
or bodies, the bodies of people who've passed. Yeah, that there's got to be a system in place. But boy, something has gone very, very wrong at Downard.
hmm, yes, it has. So I think we'll leave it here. That's what we have. And we will continue to update this story as more details become available. We do expect there'll be, some charges here at some point and more that comes from it. So we'll just track it and make sure that we follow up on it as it comes. So
Yeah.
now we will be back tomorrow, Wednesday, for our regular Wednesday case. We'll be back on Wednesday night for case updates, Thursday night for the psychic hour. Lots more great stuff to come here with us this week. Make sure that you go find us on TikTok, on Clapper. If you're on
Mhm.
Clapper, that's kind of a fun one. And we have some brand new content coming on a new app that we're excited to tell you about too. So
Yeah,
we've got lots of stuff happening
we really
behind the
do.
scenes. We're getting a little bit of I don't know, attention for our hard work. So it's kind of
Well, we are, which is pretty great.
yeah, we don't hate it. So all righty. Well, you guys, this is it. So thank you so much for being here. Like, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you got. We appreciate you. This has been another production of True Crime Paranormal with the Psychic Sisters.
Bye, guys.